What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Quentin. It's been like 12 months. Like it's been a year since I last said that, probably longer. I go by Quinn with personal relationships online. I kind of always just stuck with Quentin because I don't know, Quentin attempts. I think the balance in syllables is very. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm chef kissing. Wow. Well, I'm sure if you're listening or seeing or watching this, you will notice that there's no face associated with this experience. So I think I'm learning, I'm ascending, so to speak. I gave YouTube like a really good shot. I think for about a year I was grinding. I spent so many hours on videos. And I got some good feedback and it was a learning experience, but I think maybe just with the results of that was maybe the universe's way of telling me that I have a face for podcasts. So 4 months into quarantine, inevitably the white male in me jumped out, and here I am making a podcast. The idea actually came to me when I was, I just hung out with my friend Liam, who, if you're a loyal Quinticle, you will know that Liam is a channel favorite, perhaps. We were hanging out, and Liam's all about self-growth. He's all about learning, all about podcasts, which is something that I hate. I hate podcasts. I think that people that make them are so self-absorbed, and it's such a conceited thing to think that you have something to say of value and that you expect others to want to hear it. Which I guess, when I was doing YouTube, I guess maybe that was exactly what I was doing. Much to think about. Anyways, Liam was showing me his podcast. We were in the car, he put on a podcast and I was listening to it. And I don't really ever listen to podcasts on my own willingly. I kind of realized, and this is probably could come off wrong or incorrect or ignorant, because it probably is. I am very ignorant in the realm of podcasts. But the most popular ones, or the ones that have at least been recommended to me, were always, it's like the same white guy spearheading these conversations, and with variances of I guess, taste and humor maybe, or some other minute variable. And I was like, wow, their perspective on the world is so the same. It's all the same. Like, I just felt like if I've heard one, I've heard them all. And I'm sure that's incredibly ignorant and not true at all. But the podcasts that I've stumbled onto, the podcasts that have been recommended to me, not just from Liam, but from other white folk. I'm half white. I can say white folk. Yeah. Podcasts are a white thing, in my experience. And here I am, half white, delivering one to you. Art imitates life. So I wanted to provide, I was thinking when I was listening to these podcasts, I was like, wow, I as well have a lot to say. So I think it's maybe the next progression for at least where I'm seeing Quentin attempts go. Is going to be kind of just sharing more of my thoughts. I think that was something that I kind of neglected, or maybe I used the theme of these challenge videos on YouTube to kind of crutch how I was to build my brand. I'm saying all of this as if I was a career-oriented young professional, which I am not. I am a baby. I'm a poo-poo pee-pee baby. I am wearing diapers. Actually, before I continue with that unfunny bit, I should give you guys a life update of where I've been. It's been 12 months plus since I've last uploaded, and I finished second year of school. I've done some really ambitious, and I say that in the most, like, I'm still stupid, but decided that I was going to go for it. I was going to jump and get my dream job. I've always had an interest of media, specifically video game development. I was working for a biotech company all last year, so that's also kind of why I took a step away from YouTube. And then after Corona hit, pardon me, I decided that I was gonna use the downtime to try and just, I don't know, like, fuck it, let's go for the dream job. So I worked incredibly hard on this really unique side project. I designed my resume to look like it was from this really popular upcoming video game called Cyberpunk 2077. I redid my resume from scratch. I didn't use like a black and white Google Doc. I went on Photoshop. I designed this really futuristic, heavily UI inspired off the video game kind of template. And then I animated it, added sound effects and visual effects, uploaded it into a Reddit thread, a Reddit forum, and it kind of blew up. A lot of people saw it. I got like a lot of offers, a lot of leads from people in the video game industry that wanted to snatch me up, which is crazy. I ended up speaking to a couple people from the game studio. So all of that is to say, not that I'm the shit, but I guess I can't be like pee pee poo poo anymore. Because I'm kind of entering. I'm dipping my toes in the proverbial career for life. I say that as a millennial, knowing that I'll probably switch careers like 5 to 7 times in my life, but you'll still get pee pee poo poo. Pee pee poo poo in Times New Roman, perhaps. Something a little more sophisticated. But I still do want to be true to myself. And I think while I kind of venture out into this like professional career or whatever this next chapter looks like for me, I think because of just how I'm built, like I struggle so hard. I'm not very prideful. And I don't mean that in a conceited way. Here I am making a podcast. I don't mean that to be conceited. I don't mean it to be conceited, but I'm not very prideful. I love to be self-deprecating. I love to, I guess, highlight my flaws or exaggerate my weaknesses. And why do I do that? I don't know. Defense mechanism. Perhaps. But I think as I venture into my professional career, even as I've been interviewing for like the past 2 months with these crazy big companies, I haven't really had the time to be like, I'm stupid. Or like, you know, like the things I do on YouTube. So maybe making a podcast where is, you know, 20 to 30 minutes of me going, like, I'm sure that's probably not the best move for my career. But I do want an outlet where I can be a little more personable. I want a platform where I can say what's on my mind. I want a platform where I can let you guys know how things are going for me career-wise. And I think just having a connection to the channel is just good regardless, so that, you know, regardless of whatever careers or industries that I end up walking into, I'll kind of have something that kind of documents every step of the way for me. Wow, I'm not used to saying like cohesive full sentences since quarantine. I think I've ended every sentence since moving back home with like an ellipses. Like I don't think I finished thoughts like with my family, with my friends. I'm not used to speaking. So sorry if I don't even know if I'm going to end up publishing this because it's been so long since I spoke. What do I have to talk about? I wrote some notes here to refer to. I think that's a podcasty thing to do. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's talk about quarantine. I hate it. I wake up and I go crazy. That's kind of my daily routine, I suppose. I had a really crazy experience, which I think I might save for the next chapter. And even legally, I'm not sure how much I can really say about it. But it's a good story, and I survived. My life was at risk. And I escaped. And that sounds super dramatic, and you're probably like, don't joke about that. If it's serious, it is serious. Um, yeah, maybe for next time I'll share that. I was in Ottawa, and quarantine struck. I lost my job, and I ended up moving back to Guelph, which is where I'm from, where I was raised, because of, we'll say, extenuating circumstances for now. Extenuating circumstances. 9 syllables for you there. I've been in Guelph, living with my parents, and it's been very different, very very different, for me. I think I've kind of always struggled with this. A lot of people instantly assume I'm an extrovert. I guess because I scream at the top of my lungs every 5 minutes. I don't know why that is. And I've always, whenever people have said, oh, you're an extrovert, I normally combat it and say, well, 50-50. I'm like 50% extrovert, but I do, it's true. I need my time to recharge. I need my time to be away from people. I need my time, playing video games or walking the dog or just being by myself. I think that's something I need. But being in quarantine, I'm fucking lying. I'm an extrovert. Like, being inside is killing me. I'm always calling my friends, trying to have like some form of social interaction. I'm also a big club rat. That is to say, I am just a very large rat and belong in a club at all times. I miss going out with my friends and walking home at 3 a.m. and the music's still in my head and my ears are kind of ringing. I have so many... But I love clubbing. I love clubbing. I love dancing. I love just the whole atmosphere of the nightlife. I really enjoy that experience. That is very rewarding. What else do I miss? What else do I miss about quarantine? I miss seeing sun. That is something I do miss. I miss waking up, any digit in the AMs would be nice. I do wake up at like normally 11 a.m. I've stopped setting alarms before. Like when I first moved to Guelph, I would set alarms because I guess I wanted some concept of normalness, of normalcy. Is that a word? Normalcy? I stopped doing that. I gave up after a week. I think I just hate the sound of my alarm. And because I know there's never going to be a point in my life where I don't have to stress about, earning the bread, putting bread on the table. I'm not paying rent here. I don't ever plan on, moving back in with my parents. So I think I'm really taking this quarantine as a time to be like, wow, I'm living how I did in high school with the knowledge of living away from home for 4 years. I'm not sure a lot of people get this opportunity with this context. And to be honest, I'm making the most of it. Like, what do? I sleep in, which again, I'm not saying any of these are healthy. These are probably all unhealthy. However, I'm doing them. And I'm appreciating them. What did I do? I sleep in. I normally wake up at 11, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. Depends on how I'm feeling. It depends on what I ate last night and how late I binged my last meal. Meals. Let's talk about that. My meals are so irregular. Breakfast is a concept that isn't quite attainable for my lifestyle. I think the idea of it is pleasing to me. The idea of giving your body nutrients, close to when you rise from your bed and you feed your body with some nutrients. I think that's pleasing. And I did used to do that earlier on when I was in school and I had to wake up. Like I see the value in it. But when I pry myself, rip out the crusty saliva from my mouth to the pillow, and I manage to be in a vertical position or semi-vertical position, my brain, something is wrong with my brain. I don't think that I need food until 7 p.m. Is that weird? There's gotta be people that feel that way. I know it's not me. I know it's not just me. So I'll normally, I've started exercising again. I used to be super on my fitness before quarantine hit. And I don't mean that in the sense that like everyone else could, or you would hear this in any other context, like, oh, this quarantine just got me at my best. Like, you can ask anyone that saw me in Ottawa. I was really on top of mind, body, soul, live, laugh, love. I was doing all of it. I had a very, very like intense workout plan. I was looking the best I ever did. I had maybe the most energy I ever did. Like, I was doing so good before the Fire Nation attacked. And then, boom, 1 p.m. wake-up times. It is a tragedy. But I'm grateful for it because, again, just the mentality of knowing that I'm never going to be in this position again. And I think, not to be like we live in a society, but we do. A lot of people are kind of preset to have the mentality where it's like, oh, you have to work, you have to be grinding. Even with like some of the contacts I've made with within my time working in, the biotech industry, the startup industry, I met a lot of contacts that as soon as like week 1 of quarantine hit, before we even knew it would be like a new lifestyle, people were like, have you had like 30 minutes of rest? Here are 30 ways to be more productive while you're sleeping. Like, it just didn't make sense. What was the reason? What was the reason? I really can't hate because, I think being productive, and again, even I wasn't completely inactive during this quarantine time. Like, I did decide that I wanted to reach for my dream job, and that was just a personal goal. But I do think there is value in sitting back and relaxing and not always pushing yourself. I think, balance. That's such a gross thing. People are going to want to hear me say balance. Again, self-deprecating. It's going to happen on the channel. It's probably going to break up a lot of my cohesive thoughts. But, c'est la vie. Okay, we're reaching 20 minutes and I don't want... You see, I don't know how long podcasts should be. I wouldn't listen to a podcast that was 5 minutes, but some people love, I'm assuming, podcasts that are more than 5 minutes. I don't know. Actually, no, there's one more thing I want to talk about before I close. This will probably be a little off-brand. It'll be a little more serious for the likings of this channel. I want to talk about Black Lives Matter really quick. Again, I've mentioned I'm half white, I'm half black. I see both sides like Chanel. And I'm lying. There's no two sides. There's one side, and that's humanity. Ew, that was so... No, but it's true. There is one side, and that's humanity. Black people are getting hunted and killed for sport in America. We see police brutality. We see systemic racism in almost every aspect of American culture, of Canadian culture, beyond that. Those are just the two that I've experienced. And it sucks. It's something that I've been aware of for a long time. I've always been active on Twitter. I've always been active on social media, seeing, different people getting shot and different black people getting shot and killed so regularly. And it became, I guess, numbing to me. And I guess with this whole movement that we've seen and everyone stepping up, which has been fantastic, but it's kind of mind-boggling to me that within the past couple months, white people have realized that this thing is happening around them when it happened every day before then. It's crazy to think that I had people in my life, like on my social medias, that were preaching about how Black Lives Matter was like a terrorist organization or some radical movement that was orchestrated to be, divisive against white and black people and start the race war or whatever. Like, I've literally had conversations with people. I've met people. I've seen, like, people like this exist in America, in Canada, in my life. And I'm half black. That is wild. Wild to me. I don't want to get too intense because I think that the people that have chosen to say something about this are the people that are doing it well. I've spoken on this a little on my Instagram. A lot of white people have reached out to me, asked for my opinion, have listened to me. And that is invaluable. And I'm only half black. I encourage people to do that regardless of, your background, listen to Black people's stories. I'm half Black and people listen to mine. I encourage you to listen to people that are full Black story. People that don't have any like white privilege. And I don't have white privilege. I'm half white and have 0% white privilege, but I do have more privilege than, my dad, who's full Black. It's a hard concept to wrap your head around, especially if you don't have any form of discrimination, I guess, or any form of oppression against you, but it exists. It's there. I think one of the things that I really grapple with is that they say, and in my experience, this definitely holds to be true, is that if you're Black or if you're not white, you have to work twice as hard as a white person to get anywhere in life. Something that I think about a lot, and I can't say if this is true or not because I'm only living in my shoes. I only am living from my experience. But looking back at Quentin attempts, I worked so hard. And maybe this is gross to say on my first podcast on my comeback to this channel after, a year plus. But I did work so hard on this channel. And I spent so many hours and for one of my videos, I remember, I can't remember what video it is. I ripped lined pieces of paper, scanned them, overlaid them, and then switched the different paper cutouts on the screen so that it gave it a little bit of life, like a little bit of animation. I did that all myself. And it was I don't know, 30 seconds total in the video. And it was shrunk to this is so irrelevant. The moral of the story is I worked hard on this channel. And maybe it's because I don't have the stuff. Maybe it's because it's not built like a YouTuber. Maybe it's because of, unlimited possibilities, unlimited variables. I wonder if I was white, how much more successful I would be. And that's not to say that I'm blaming, my lack of success on my skin color, because again, I'm taking into account so many things. And looking back at my videos, there's so many things that, I would have changed or I would improve on or that I have improved on or things that, there's a lot of work to do. But I've seen a lot of white creators that, don't have my skills, or I've seen a lot of creators that are a lot less, in my opinion, I'd like to think objectively, but, there's a lot out there. There's so many successful white influencers that maybe don't deserve the platform they have. And I'm not saying that because, I feel I'm better than them. No, their content, they have racist content, or they have, problematic content, or they're ignorant, or, sorry, sometimes they're just not that good. It's hard to wrap my head around, and I want to say it in a way that doesn't make it seem like I'm not grateful for, what I did do, or that I'm not, jealous or spiteful of people that have made it further than me. But at the end of the day, living in my shoes, living in my skin, I know that the color of my skin has denied me from a lot of opportunities. Whether that's jobs, whether that's friendships, whether that's relationships, whether that's whatever. And who's to say that, my growth on YouTube isn't an extension of that? And I think that's why I'm a little more critical of influencers that I see now that are, even when I said before, that podcasters that are white. And a lot of these influencers now with the Black Lives Matter movement are acknowledging, saying, oh, Black lives do matter. It's funny that that's something that's commendable to say nowadays, but people are saying it, and they're accepting that racism does exist, and they're highlighting it in their communities. Great. Love it. Love to hear it. But do they not know that an extension of this racism in their communities is the fact that they're given a platform, and that platform could have gone to a person of color that deserves it more? I hope that made sense. I see a lot of really brilliant Black creators, and, in music, in that particular medium, they're so celebrated. Black culture is peak on the charts all the time. But, you know, in other forms, in film, in art, even in influencers, there's a lot of underrepresentation. And I'm not saying that's an exclusively black thing. It's an exclusively non-white thing. White people dominate this space. And now that they're acknowledging that racism is an issue, there has to be some trickle down so that non-white creators can be in their shoes, in their positions. And again, I think that was a lot of big boy talk, and it's getting a little lengthy, so I don't want to go too much past that. But I have a lot of thoughts on, you know, Black Lives Matter in relation to influencers or web personalities or, you know, any digital platform. But I've already said too much. My brain is shutting down. Black Lives Matter is important. If you are hearing this and want to hear more about my experiences on racism, or just want to talk or understand more about what this movement's about, or if you want to challenge me on my thoughts, I'm always down to have an engaging conversation or debate. Please reach out. Please text me before I blow up and get famous. No, because conversation is really where change starts to happen. And so many people have reached out to me already. And if you're one of those people who are thinking about it, I encourage you, go ahead, do it. If not me, another person of color, another black friend, please do. Okay, I don't have a name for this podcast. I don't have an outro. I don't have a brain cell. Singular. Thank you for listening. I don't want to put a commitment time frame because I don't know what my life is looking like in quarantine, but I can say expect me to at least do another podcast talking about my nightmare escape from hell being Ottawa, life-threatening crisis during a pandemic, which is, yes, dramatized, but also not really, because that was actually horrifying. I'll definitely do a podcast about that, or at least speak on it before I give up on this too. If you're interested or like this or want to hear more, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below about things that you want to hear about. And yeah, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you listening, because I certainly wouldn't. And yeah, have a fantastic day. Catch you on the flip. Who talks like that? Weird.